This is Andi Purewal for Boxing News. I'm joined by promoter Eddie Hearn here in God's country, Birmingham. Eddie, how you doing?
Well, when are we going for this mixed grill?
Eddie, I'm glad you've brought it up. Tomorrow night.
Explain it to me.
Tomorrow night. So on the mixed grill, you get grilled onions at the bottom, and then you get lamb chops, chicken tikka, shish kebab, chicken wings, fish pakora, and for about £20 to £23, depending on the size
Indian
you want.
restaurant?
No, it's just like a pub, the one that I go to.
Right, okay.
It's called a Grill and Bar, and it's literally, you get like 30, 40 pieces of meat, and you get a couple sides, about £30 in, and it will fill two of you.
How far is it from here?
15 minutes on a train.
Okay.
It's like
on
going.
a train?
It's like going. See, everyone reacts like that.
So,
everyone.
so it's not in Birmingham?
It is in Birmingham. Well, it's Black Country, so it's like the skirting. It's West Brom, which is just
15 minutes.
15 minutes. I'll pay
so
for.
It's outside of Birmingham.
Eddie, just for you, I'll pay for your Uber.
I've got a car here.
Okay, so it's even better.
Yeah.
But Eddie, you've got to go. You've got to do it for the people.
I'll try.
But here we are. How's life treating you back
Good.
here?
Yeah, really good. What's been happening? We had a mad show in Puerto Rico. It was a crazy experience. 10,000 in there. I always say one of the best atmospheres of it, but it was genuinely like they were so excited. Flags everywhere, and hometown hero, the boogeyman, got beat by a brilliant Paro. So it was an incredible show. Big upset in the £140 division, and now obviously come here. Got a great card in Birmingham this Saturday. Straight out to Phoenix, or press conference first for AJ, hopefully next week, and then straight out to Phoenix for Bam against Estrada. Sonny Edwards on the card, Ramla Ali fighting for the world title, and then back for the Romford Ball. 6,000 tickets nearly gone already for Fisher against Babbage at the Copper Box, and then back to Philly for Boot Tennis. So then 2 weeks off, and then the Riyadh season card in LA. So really busy 4 weeks coming up and buzzing for it.
Topics you mentioned there I want to touch on, but just stick with Paro and Matias. What a performance from Liam Paro, and I think a lot of people were happy just to kind of see that he was going to get the decision, because that was one of the talking points leading into the fight.
I thought he won it really wide. Like, I gave Subriel 2 or 3 rounds. Like, and when I got in the ring after, you know, a lot of people, well, we've got it right. I said, no, of course you've got it. Like, but when the decision's getting read out, you do sometimes think, oh, if you don't get it here, there's going to be an uproar in the world. So it was a really smart performance from Liam Paro. We've always known he was good. He's an undefeated fighter. But until you step up to that levels, you never really know if they're elite. And he proved on Saturday that he's one of the best 140-pounders in the world. And he's got a massive future ahead. Looking to bring him home in a massive fight in Australia in October. And we'll see who that might be against.
We'll stick with it because I'm going to go into it now anyway. Who do you think's possible, and do you think maybe a Devin Haney fight is possible, despite kind of what's been mentioned on Twitter?
We'll come on to the Devin Haney thing, but my last conversations with Devin Haney and his team, his lawyer, was we would like to do the Liam Paro unification fight. Obviously there's an issue because Sandor Martin's in line. We didn't hear back from them, but we still would like to make the fight. Whether there's a deal that can be done with Sandor Martin, probably not. But if not, he may vacate the WBC title. So we'll have to see. But I really like Liam Paro against Devin Haney. Devin Haney has a big name globally, but also particularly in Australia. Because don't forget, he beat George Kambosos there twice. So, yeah, definitely open to that fight.
Let's come back to Birmingham, and then we'll go back to Devin. Denny Cash, what goes down?
I mean, I was actually looking at it, you know, last night. Obviously, Felix hasn't boxed for 18 months. It's a huge amount of time out of the ring, particularly when you've been through what he's been through. He's had his ups and downs, but he is in a great place. Everything's gone amazing with Adam Booth. He's an extremely talented fighter. You saw that in the Denzel Bentley fight. Tyler Denny's got more momentum. He's at home. He's sold like 800 tickets himself. It's a very, very tough fight for Felix Cash, but you've got to come into this fight as an underdog, as a challenger, which he is, really. I don't know what the Betfred are saying, but, you know, for me, you've got to make sure that you come in and rip the title off Tyler Denny. So Felix, almost like, you know, I think he's kind of said it himself, almost like a career's on the line here. Because if he loses here, I don't know where you go from there, but back down to British title level, and he's not going to want to do that. So he must win on Saturday. So it's a great fight. I can't wait for Crocker against Walker. I think he's such a brilliant, brilliant fight. An unusual fight for both guys to take, because Conor Walker's got himself in a position where he doesn't have to keep rolling the dice, but he wants to. And Lewis Crocker's got himself in a position where he's on the verge of a massive fight in Belfast. He's coming into Walker's backyard. He's done 500 tickets. It's going to be like Birmingham, Wolverhampton. Like, it's a big crowd on Saturday. And all those guys that are fighting the hometown guys, they're going to be right up against it. And that's a brilliant fight.
Has Felix Cash mentioned any of those potential fights? When you look at kind of people have spoken past about Amma Williams, but Hamza Shiraz's victory, is he looking at those fights thinking?
Not really, because I think he has to really focus on this fight. I think when you've been out for 18 months, you can't start saying, yeah, he's next, and Shiraz and Adames, and I forgot his name now, the middleweight champion, WBO champion from Kazakhstan, Janibek, these kind of guys. Those fights are there for you. But this is a very tough fight. Like, if he does a job on Tyler Denny, then we can start getting excited for those names. But until then, he's right up against it.
Is Ben Shalom going to be in attendance?
I don't know.
Is he open to attend?
Of course. Always. Well, it's his fighter. I'm sure he'll be here. It's a main event. He's fighter on another card. So it's a big fight for him.
Let's swing back to Devin Haney. Obviously, his tweet, his unhappiness in his tweet that you guys didn't go for purse bids for the Sandor Martin fight. Just talk to me about what your reaction was when you saw that.
Yeah, I was disappointed with the tweet, really. I mean, we have absolutely no obligation to bid. He's a free agent. A lot of these fighters like to champion the fact that they're free agents, and they all have their own promotional company. DHP didn't bid. They didn't bid because they didn't want to take a financial risk on the fight. So you won't, but yet I have to, even when you're not under contract to me, or I'm not obliged to. It doesn't really work like that. I had a conversation the night before the bid with Devin Haney's lawyer, and I said to him, we would be interested to make Liam Paro against Devin Haney in a unification fight. Speak to the WBC, see what happens. I'll speak to DAZN, see if we're even going to bid. Come back to me. I never heard back from him. So, and I wasn't waiting for the call because I've got other things to worry about. I've got fighters that are with me. I've got fighters that I have contractual obligations towards that I have to deliver for. Now, Devin's my mate. I'll always back him. I'll always be there for him. But on a business level, I can't just pluck money from budgets when I'm not obliged to for fights that don't have the value. So, as I said, when you are a free agent, if your commercial value in a fight is high, congratulations. If it's not, that's when you need the promoter. But he doesn't have a promoter. Well, he does himself, but they didn't want to bid for it. It wasn't like, oh, Matchroom did me dirty. What about Devin Haney Promotions? You didn't want to bid for it. You know why? Because if you would have, the show would have lost $1 million. But you're not prepared to do that, but you want me to do that. Don't work like that, mate. If you're with me, if you're loyal to me, I will have your back every day of the week. And, with Devin, even though he's gone in the past, even though he hasn't wanted to sign a longer-term deal, I'm always there. And I will try and make the Liam Paro fight. I want to make Devin Haney against Liam Paro in Australia in October. But that's a fight that doesn't deliver. That's a fight that no one's really interested in. Now, it's a good fight for Devin, in my opinion. I've said before, I don't mind the fight, and maybe he should take it. But we will also present other opportunities if he chooses to accept it. But whilst you're not under contract to us and you don't want to bless us with that obligation and that opportunity and that loyalty, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to do $1 million in cold blood just to get you out of jail. That's how it goes.
When it was confirmed that obviously after the Ryan Garcia fight he was going to keep his WBC title, and obviously yourself and others in the team were saying that he was going to keep the WBC title, he wanted to defend it next, didn't want to give it up. Why kind of wait until now where he hasn't said he's going to give it up, but
because
has he overshot his value? I thought he was worth more.
There's not the reason that say wait till now. There's no deal to be done because Devin Haney, he obviously the paycheck from the Garcia fight will be disappointing in respect of what the fighters thought they could have earned because they probably got bluffed. But at the same time, Bill Haney's out talking to all other promoters. So what did I have my fighters that are locked into Matchroom, that I have to work for, that I have to deliver for. So I've never had a conversation with Bill Haney about a new deal with Devin Haney. It was just the Sandor Martin fight's coming up. Bill Haney never called me, never reached out to me. I'll text Devin a few times, but wasn't really. When that fight came up, was I going to bid for it? Maybe, yeah. But then when I spoke to DAZN, I said, guys, this is the schedule, the plan we have for the year. Do you want to stick money in to do Devin Haney against Sandor Martin? In all honesty, the answer was not really, no. And so, I still think it's a fight that he should think about taking. But let's be honest, it ain't going to be the greatest fight in the world to watch. And unfortunately, we have to run a business here. And I'm not interested in losing a load of money to a fighter that I don't have a contractual obligation to, who also has his own promotional company, where his dad is out talking to all the other promotional companies about who will give him the best deal here, there and everywhere. Not for me, mate. So if it works for you, you will do it. Guess what? If it works for me, I will do it. Unless we're together, unless we have an unbreakable bond, unless you're part of the family.
Eddie, Anthony Joshua, obviously I've seen
Part of the family.
I've seen him say that he's close to having his next fight agreed and announced. What have you? What can you tell me?
Yeah, we're in final negotiations for that fight. Nothing's done yet, nothing's fully agreed, but there is a press conference next Wednesday. It's everybody's intention to make sure that we can make that announcement there.
Expect it to be Daniel Dubois?
I think if it's for the world heavyweight title and everything's in order, Daniel Dubois will be the right fight, but again, nothing agreed yet.
I have to ask on that note, obviously I've seen that he's come out about the IBF haven't received a request as of yet for it to be for the IBF title.
Yeah, there's conversations going on at the moment with myself, with George Warren, obviously Spencer Brown, Team Usyk would have to be involved, His Excellency, but I think there's a good chance the world heavyweight title should be on the line, and that could determine who we fight.
Who else is in the running, Ben? I've seen who else is in the running. I've seen Zhang mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, you know, obviously it's all about intentions to fight at Wembley. So if we're going to fight at Wembley, we want it to be a real fight, and AJ's ready to fight anyone.
Moving away from AJ, Canelo. I've seen some talk about Mr. Scully and there being some form of an agreement. Do you have any idea what that agreement entails?
I read it. I can't believe in a million years they're going to fight Skull. But who knows? I would think it's a deal to step aside. I'm sure there's a lot of conversations going on with Canelo Alvarez all around the world. I'm not really involved with those, other than a potential fight with Edgar Berlanga, which there's been some murmurs of. No negotiations yet on that fight. Obviously he's under contract to us, he's a matchroom fighter. I think it's a great fight. I think there's a chance Canelo could fight Berlanga in September. We'll wait for the call.
I believe he has one more fight left with PBC. Canelo.
Who knows? Who knows?
So on that note, if say it was to be Berlanga, would he have to be a co-promo, or would you be happy to see Edgar?
Yeah, but it's a fight that could take place in Saudi Arabia. So, you know, I have no idea. But I know that His Excellency would love to make Canelo Crawford. So is there a pre-plan? I don't know. But I'm not involved with those discussions. But I will be if Edgar Berlanga gets the pick.
Just very quickly, Eddie, Gervonta Davis this past weekend as well. What did you make of his victory?
Yeah, he's a very exciting fighter. He's an entertainer. You know, I want to see him fight one of the elite guys. And Frank Martin's a really good fighter, but when I look at Gervonta's resume, he's not yet rolled the dice other than Ryan Garcia, which, let's be honest, when you look at the pictures of Ryan Garcia, I don't think physically he was at his best, but I want to see him fight a Shakur, a Teofimo Lopez, maybe a Devin Haney, one of these elite guys. He may beat all of them, but he's great for the sport. And by the way, I think, you know, although he can be a little bit cringe sometimes, I think he's got his head switched on, screwed back on. You know, I think he's talking well, he's making the right decisions. I mean, don't forget, he ain't got a promoter, so it's on him to promote the entire show. And you know, he didn't turn up for the rivals. He said the promotion was arse, and it was awful, the promotion, because he's got to do it all himself, and I think he's doing a really good job.
Final one, Eddie. This Saudi Boxing League, which has been reported, what can you tell me? Reports at yourself
really.
and Golden Boy.
There are conversations, and you know, they're all confidential, and you know, and rightfully so. Sometimes information leaks out. Some of it's completely wrong. Some of it there's truth to. All I'll say is that His Excellency has an incredible vision for boxing, and he's looking at opportunities within the sport. You know, if that's bringing people together and the sport together to try and make the best fights, we're all up for that. But, you know, in terms of a movement like that, there's a lot of work to be done.
That's what I'm going to ask. Obviously, a UFC model, if you will, something which has been spoken about for a while. How difficult is it to actually get a deal like that over the line?
It takes a huge amount of money, and it takes a clear vision and a very convincing body, maybe like His Excellency, to bring everyone together. So there's definitely you know, intention to have those conversations from very powerful people in the sport.
Eddie, I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Cheers, thank you.